Well, hello there, and welcome back to the third night which we have covered IDEX stock. If you remember in last night, I gave you a forecast for the future. If you remember in the night before, I gave you a general overview on the company and what I thought to it going forwards. Now, just to give you a quick recap, in last night's episode where you asked me to rate it and say whether it was a buy or not, I concluded that for the long term it is potentially a buy, but people are leaving me loads of comments on that video, and if you haven't seen it already, please do watch it and get that to 1,000. But people are, commenting on that one and saying, is this a good time to buy in? Because when we have a quick look at it, we can see that yes, we have seen a high up here of 315, and from that point it looks to have dipped even further down. And a lot of people were saying that they have lost money on it in the short term and whatnot. So first thing to note is, of course, I am not a financial advisor, but I am going to be giving my opinions on the company again, on how long I would hold the company's stock for, and just a few other things about the company which I would, like you guys to know. So like I said, not a financial advisor, just giving my opinion on YouTube, so please do take it as only that. On top of that, if you don't already know, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Can we just do this one by the end of the week? Please, please, please. Next week, Friday, I would love to be on 1,000 subscribers. We just need 3 to go to get to 900. Once we're at 900, we can almost feel it. There's less than 100 to go from that point. 901, and we are only in double digits to go until 1,000. So share this with your friends and family and whatnot. Please do everything that you can to get us to 1,000. I'm doing everything that I can to get us to 1,000 by making loads of videos every day. So please do like and subscribe. Also, come and join us on our Discord. Link to that is in the description. But let's go. Right, so let's have a quick look at what I was just talking about. So like I said in the last episode, I did talk about Ideanomics being a good stock buy for the future for many reasons, which I'm going to go over again tonight and, explain them a little bit more. So I think one of the things that we were lacking in that video was, further explanation. So let me just explain what I was talking about. So we're going to have a quick start off by looking at the stock's price, as we always do. Looking at the company, we obviously saw a huge increase of 171% over the last week or so, and this happened basically, quite recently and quite a steep and, quite crucial part of time, because people were thinking, is now a good time to buy in? They were, having fear of missing out and things like that. And actually, the stock then took a small dip. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I say this about all companies when they do take a dip. It is not necessarily a bad thing, but I do understand people's pain when they were holding a position, expecting it to be nothing but up all the way, and, saw it going down. So I think it's very important to note one thing, especially for the time being, and especially going forward. So yes, of course, it's just my opinion, but I think one thing which is definitely going to play a factor in the company at the minute is the market share of the, sector which is trying to penetrate basically, and also the business's size based on market cap. So looking at market cap, we are on 661.95 million. Let's just round that up to 662 million. Not that it really makes that much of a difference. I know that to me and you guys, that sounds like a huge number, right? I would love to have that much money in the bank. I'm sure you guys would as well. But when we look at this from a business perspective, that is not a lot of money at all. What this means, therefore, is that the company is not necessarily as, and I hate to say this because it is a good company, but it's not necessarily as stable as a company like Apple, which has got like over a $1 trillion market cap. So you understand how this one's going to work. It is definitely going to be a lot more ups and downs. I think a lot of the sell-off that we saw was also due to hype just getting out of the market. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people took their 177% and, just ran for it and took a nice bit of profit. Now, like I always say, a healthy bit of profit taking is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it is, a lot of the important stuff is what comes next. So obviously there has not been too many days because the selling off did happen on Wednesday, but looking at the days which we have seen between Thursday and Friday, it looks like we have seen the stock go up ever so slightly, which is a good thing to see. Obviously, if the stock would have continued to go down, then perhaps it would have been a, not necessarily a buy now and wait a bit, because obviously if it's going down, it would not be a good time to buy because it is quite a risk. So yeah, looking at this company, I'm going to talk about why in just a moment, but yes, I definitely do see a price target of potentially $5, if not much higher in the next year, for reasons which I'm about to say. So first reason which I'm going to say, and by the way, that $5 price target is coming from money.cnn, which is also cnn.com for finance, so CNN Business or CNN Finance. But yeah, basically I do see this target being predictable for a few reasons. The main reasons for these are basically due to what we are seeing in the future. Obviously, we always bring up this graph when we talk about electric vehicles, and that's just because it's so relevant. You can pick any country that you want, and you can just see the electric vehicles in that segment. And I think this is where a company like Idex comes into play for the long term. So obviously, when we're looking at a company and when we're looking at stocks on the channel, it's important to not just look at the stock, but actually look at what the company does and have a fundamental understanding. Now, this company is more of a, commercial vehicle company. So basically what they do is they source vehicles for, other companies. So for example, and it's just an example, I'm not saying that there is any contracts coming up, but I'm just going to use an example. If, say, Amazon were looking to purchase some delivery vans, maybe like 1,000 delivery vans, they may go to, for example, and again, just an example, Mercedes-Benz, and that's just an example for a vehicle. And of course, if they went through a company like Ideanomics, they could potentially pick all that stuff up at a discount because they would do the shopping around for Amazon. Now, I think this is more crucial when we do look into this sector because this is talking about EV sales and also about the amount of EV sales and the penetration to the market share. And I think this is where this company will do well in the long term. So obviously, looking at now, I'm sure you guys already know, you don't need me to explain. When we go around the streets, we've seen petrol vehicles, we've seen diesel vehicles all over the place. Petrol and diesel really is the way at the minute. But looking into the future, that is not going to be the case. We are looking for a more sustainable planet, a more green environment. And that is where companies like this come into play. So obviously this is just a forecast which I have on screen, but I think this is where we are going with this stock potentially. And that's why I said in last night's episode, it's definitely a hold for a few years, but I'm going to explain that in just a second. Right, so if we're going to have a quick look, we're going to start off at the top and work our way down. So buses at the minute, there are not many electric buses on the streets. So obviously, talking about just here in the United Kingdom, we definitely don't have many electric buses at all, but moving into the future, electric buses are going to be a thing. Obviously, busing is a big sector because obviously a lot of people do catch a bus, and it's just one of those types of vehicles which does sell well because obviously manufacturers and also operators do need to have the most up-to-date vehicles to keep passengers happy. So passenger vehicles also equates for personal vehicles that might be motorbikes or cars or whatnot. These are all petrol and diesel at the minute. Basically, when we're looking at market share in 2019, less than 10% of all passenger vehicles were electric, but when we look into 2035, we are seeing more than 40% potentially being electric. Moving down, we also have light commercial vehicles on a similar path. I think this is where a company like Workhorse does come in from a manufacturing point of view because, of course, diesel is a big thing in this sector right now. And if we have a look down at the bottom of the graph, we will see barely any electric trucks were sold. And I think that's where a company like this will do well. So medium commercial and heavy commercial are kind of on a similar path, with medium doing a little bit better into the future. But basically, why have I shown you this graph? What does it all mean? Well, these are all the types of vehicles which this company are going to source for other companies. So if we have a quick look at everything apart from buses is kind of, quite linear and almost flattened out as it is now. It's only expected to go from 50% to 80% in the next 30 or 40 years. So obviously that's not too big of an increase looking in comparison to some of the other vehicles. But, not to get ahead of ourselves, a company like this will be sourcing these vehicles. And of course, they can't source what is not there yet. Now, like I said in the last episode, I definitely see this one being one for the long term, definitely for the long term, perhaps to 2030 and longer. And that's simply due to the fact that, this company and what they intend to do does incorporate electric vehicles. And I think we are seeing a few electric vehicles emerge onto the market. And when we do see a good electric stock, we do cover it on the channel. But we are not seeing too many electric vehicles in the real world, if you understand what I'm saying. So once we do get a lot more electric vehicles in the world and, being sold commercially to companies, we will be seeing a lot more increase in this share price. So until then, I do potentially see it being a volatile stock, but I think this is one of the ones where you definitely do have to look into the future. And when I say the future, I do definitely mean the long-term future. It's absolutely possible that this stock could get hyped up, because looking at the company's business model alone, it is a good model. It's not really like anything which we have seen before. It's not like anything that I have seen before, and it's certainly not like anything which we have covered on the channel before. And for that reason, it definitely does have potential to do extremely well in the long term for the future. So I definitely do hope that this company does well. Given a forecast for me, I definitely say if you want to buy this one, it could potentially be a buy. Even if you are going to buy it, I would definitely say for the short term, the next few years or so, we are probably looking at a very volatile company, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. So of course, not really too much hype is in this one yet. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be a great opportunity to get in early. So of course, if you guys have taken the opportunity, please do tell us in the comment section. We can't wait to hear what you have to say. Also, come and join us on Discord, link is in the description. I hope you can come and join us, and also don't forget to subscribe. We're about to smash past 1,000, I am certain of it. So thank you for your time. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye until then.